Okay, this raised bed here are basically tomatoes planted in here, and we thought we pulled out all of the taro in this bed, but as you can see, that one there came up, which we obviously overlooked when we were harvesting. In this bed we also have a mixture of several plants. Right here in this corner, this is cucumber. There's a pepper right there, and cucumber on that end, and these are some type of squash, which I believe this should be spaghetti squash. This is a cucumber here, and the rest of this row is our bunch of tomatoes as well, right here. And right here, right on front in the middle of this bed here, this is bottle gourd. Okay, so, and if I were to look on this side again, here's a bottle gourd right here. As you can see, that's bottle gourd, and this is cucumber. And in this corner I also have cucumber there, and as if you look closer you can see that it's starting to have fruits. See the bloom, and that's a female cucumber right there, which I believe has been pollinated right there. And there are more male flowers, which I hope would serve as a pollinator for the rest of the cucumbers in another areas. And over here we got loofah. That's loofah, and that's an eggplant. Where my shadow is at. That's an eggplant there. More tomatoes, ponderosa beefsteak tomatoes, and another eggplant back there. Some squash, another eggplant right there, which is in bloom also. Right there, you can see the bloom. And a lot of this, just about most of these plants are actually in bloom, as you can see. It's very, very sunny, so it's really not easy and very hard to focus on anything. And over here, loofah, and on that corner you can see that's cucumber, and these are eggplants along this row of this raised bed. This raised bed contains most of the eggplants. This is where I plant most of the eggplants, right here. And I have a bitter melon in this corner, and another bitter melon in that corner as well. Hey, I think this will be a treat for the eyes. My roses are in bloom, as you can see. And so in this bed I also planted some peppers right there. You can see those peppers right there, right in the middle of this raised bed. And if you notice that there are several type of plants planted in one bed, and it looks almost like a big chaos instead of an orderly planting. My theory is that since it seems like the bugs can easily find their targeted plant, because when they bloom, I mean, they pretty much release some pheromones that attract them to it. I'm hoping to confuse the bugs, and so hopefully it will minimize the damage. So they still will find them, I'm sure, but it can minimize the damage. Oh my goodness, pardon me. Just look how big the leaves of this uh, basil. It's humongous right here. I will be making some pesto this year. It's been a while I made pesto. I have several recipes in mind. And here, that's cucumber there. And this is loofah right here, climbing up, as you can see. And they are actually starting to have fruits, the squash. And as you can see, they are in bloom as well. So this bed is basically, which I believe the first bed I showed, basically are tomatoes. And the watermelon seems to be doing well. And on these 3 containers here, I have squash. I cannot believe that when I said I'm determined to grow squash this year. It seems almost everywhere I turn there is squash growing. But there they are, as you can see. Those are squash or pumpkins. And more on this corner. Let me show you my pigeon peas. This one really surprised me, and I am very pleased with what it's doing. Like I said, I planted no less than half a dozen of these pigeon peas, and they all died. I mean, all of them died except for this one. They did not make it through the winter. That's the base of the pigeon peas, and if I follow, you see flowers, and those flowers actually are, a lot of them have beans already, as you can see. If I could focus, hopefully you can recognize the beans in them. But there you go, it's loaded with flowers, with blooms, and some pigeon peas. You can see the pods. And being a tropical type of plant, this is actually a very great surprise for me. So this is what my garden look right now. Just a quick update to give you an idea of what's happening inside my garden that I planted without hardening. We really shouldn't be too worried and concerned when that happened, that we planted without hardening our plant. Just give it as much care as we could manage, keep it warm as much as we can until the weather change for the better, which is now. I believe we're not going to be getting any cold weather from now on, at least not for a good while. And as you can see, my watermelon are doing very well. And I barely can see things because of the sun. It's extremely hot and sunny today, and having a cataract is not helping the matter any. but hopefully tomorrow all my cataract will be corrected, taken care of, because I'm relying on the camera to see everything for me, and hopefully I could present to you what I'm aiming to, which is to give you an idea of what's happening inside my garden, what it looks like right now. As you can see, we did plant a lot of tomatoes, a lot of squash this year, a lot of eggplants, peppers, hot and mild. Yeah, I do have jalapeno. I don't know if I mentioned the jalapeno. So those blooms are beautiful, and it's also a cause of for concern, because you know what I dread the most with squash are the squash vine borer, and let's hope that it won't be so bad this year. And I do have papaya, which I started from the seed right there, and there goes another one right there, and here's another one right there. That's a papaya. And this the last three yucca that needs to be planted. We have planted all of them except for these three. Okay, so as you can see, it's what they look like right now. And let me give you a shot of my yucca planted in this corner here. Take a look at that. That's one yucca plant. Here goes another. Here goes another one. There goes another one. And there goes another one right there. So we got a lot of things going on so far this year. I'm trying to make a quick video before I go for my cataract surgery, which is tomorrow, April the 30th. And I want to give a quick update of the plants, which when we planted, because of my panic, it was never hardened. It was in a greenhouse. I was just considering hardening them off first, but then we realized some are turning yellow, getting very leggy, and all kinds of things happening, which is showing a sign of nutrient deficiencies going on and lack of space to grow. And I guess I just got panicked and decided to put them on the ground, and it was a bit disappointing when you see them going into shock and losing their leaves and everything. But I guess with a little care, they managed to bounce back up. And as you can see, this is how my garden looks right now. One will never know the stress I put this plant into. This is the longest raised bed I have here, and this also, as you can see, I mean, one would never know what he went through, the stress. Look at how big the stem of this tomato. See how big that is? So, yes, let's get rid of this sucker. We don't need that there. The tomatoes are looking so healthy. It's incredible when you consider what he went through with the last cold spell we had, and all the changes, hot, cold, windy, raining, raining hard, and then it will get so hot. It went through a lot of stress, but now you look at them, one will never know. And back there, let me bring them closer. You see back there, see those plants? Those are okra. So what I did on this bed is I planted several type of plants as well. At the back behind this tomatoes would be okra, and this you cannot mistake in it for its leaves. See how big. This is my brandywine, pink brandywine tomato, and it's very distinctive with that potato leaves, so you can't miss it. You know, that's brandywine right there. And I have pepper. I believe this pepper is jalapeno. I do have some peppers like that one there, might be the pusa juala hot pepper, and I do have some Marconi peppers, red Marconi as well. And this is another basil, and another. Oh, I could zoom in inside and you can see that it's starting to have, where is it? There you go. See that male flower there? Female flower. You know it's female because it's got that growth right, pardon me, right before the bud. That's the bud which will bloom, and when that open, that will be pollinated. And right here, you see this? This is the squash. So this is a female flower, and soon as that opens, it will need to be pollinated for that squash to grow. So at the back on this side, on the other end of this long raised bed, I have the okra. I showed you the okra. But on this end here, you can see the bitter melons. This bitter melons planted back here. And so far, this is how the garden looks like. Today is April 29th.